Hey guys, welcome to another episode of The Curtain Falls. As the title suggests, I will be looking at a game that I lost. This is from about 5 weeks ago, played at the Brisbane Chess Club. For those players in the surrounding southeast Brisbane area who've never played at the Brisbane Chess Club, I highly recommend you check it out at least once. Thursday nights at 7:30. It's a big spacious area. It's at Woolloongabba at the Brisbane Bridge Club. There's lots of room. There's a separate room where you can analyze your games and play some fun blitz after if your games finish early. Uh, Very well worth the looking. So suss it out if you can. The game in question I had was against Houston Parle. Now, for those who don't know who Houston is, he's a quite a high-rated junior. I say he's a high-rated junior. He's still at high school, but his ACF is 1722. So he's a pretty strong player in his own right within southeast Queensland. He's always a lot of fun to play, Houston. We've had a lot of really fun blitz games over the last few months. We're also very used to what each other plays. I know against D4 he likes to play the Sicilian as I do. Uh, Against D4, I like playing the Budapest. I really enjoyed playing the Budapest Gambit after D4, Knight F6, C4. And because of this, Houston, I think, was a bit um, indecisive on what he wanted to do as white in this game. So he started out with d4 after a minute or so of thinking, and after I responded with knight f6, this next move took him about 5 minutes to decide on how he was going to play here. With when I play chess, I tend to make up my mind very early about what I'm going to do. I don't spend a long time deciding what I'm going to do in the first few moves. So he plays knight f3, which kind of means we're not going to get a crazy four-pawn attack. We're not going to get a crazy Budapest gambit. So he plays knight f3, and I decide to just go into a King's Indian setup with d6, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, and e4, kingside castles. And at this point, everything's pretty straightforward, but he plays something that kind of surprised me, and I did have a chat to a friend the next week at the Redcliffe Chess Club, another high-rated junior, and he said that this next move is perfectly fine and is apparently the main choice that white plays, h3, which kind of confused me. I don't really see what its aim is straight away. I guess, or it's stopping things from getting either the bishop or the knight getting to g4, but I wasn't too concerned about this move, but I saw that it was stopping some potential moves going to the h4, to the g4, sorry, square. So here I played knight fd7, which probably isn't the best choice. I probably should have gone with e5, but I played knight fd7, bishop to g5, and I decided to strike into the center immediately with c5. Now, I could have played h6, kicking the bishop and further developing, but I didn't really want to compromise my kingside pawn structure that soon, so I went with c5, pawn push, and at this point reached another fork in the road where I wasn't sure what to do. I could have gone with something like maybe queen a5, but I mean, I can't, sorry, my mistake, hanging a pawn, so I can't do any of that. So I decided to play knight e5, and I was hoping he would actually take this knight, resulting in bishop takes and maybe f4, and after bishop d4, this is really hard to do. This bishop is really hard to dislodge. This bishop's kind of a bone in his throat, really blocks up the position. He can try to push with b4 to take away that protecting pawn. He can't play knight e2 because, of course, the b2 pawn is hanging. So I would have been really happy if something like that happened, but of course that didn't happen. He didn't take, so after I played knight here, he responds with queen d2, and here, well, I couldn't think of too much else to do here. I probably could have played f5 straight away, but instead I decided to compromise his kingside pawn structure with knight takes. I mean, he gets the open g file, but I thought I'd be fine. Pawn takes back, and now I strike with f5. And at this point, I was pretty happy with things, with how things were going. My bishop has really opened up. Actually, both bishops really opened up. My queenside is very limited into what I can do at the moment, but I was still pretty happy here. Bishop h6, and this is when things got kind of a bit murky. In hindsight, I probably could have just gone with bishop h6, and then after queen takes, rook f7 or rook f6, which would have been fine, or I could have also maybe played knight d7. That would have been interesting. And after pawn takes, note that this is not so good for white anymore, because then I can take his bishop, queen comes back taking, and rook takes f5, and I think black looks pretty nice here. This would have been pretty nice to play. Knight can come to f6, and it looks good. But I didn't go for any of that. Instead, I would charge forward with with e5. Probably not the best move, since it makes sorry, what am I doing? It makes this pawn kind of weak, not great. I mean, the queen's reinforcing it. The rook might be able to come up to f6, but in hindsight, yeah, probably not the best move. So I played e5. So he took. I took his h6 bishop. I could have played bishop takes straight away, but I wasn't liking the idea of queenside castling and lots of pressure on that little d6 pawn. So I took with his bishop first, queen takes, and now I take back with the bishop takes on e6. And knowing Houston, because he loves playing tricky dynamic positions, he likes to be aggressive. Of course, he castles queenside. Get that rook on the semi-open file. Actually, sorry, open file. Sorry guys, I'm a little bit all over the place today, but bear with me. Knight c6, developing further pieces, and he goes knight b5 with the obvious intention of just trying to pull on the pressure of d6 pawn. Here I just take on e4, he takes, a rook takes on d6, and I found, it took me a while to find this. I've got to protect that bishop, but I really didn't like the idea of queen f6 running into knight c7. That looks pretty bad for black, so I ended up playing queen e7. At this point, more pressure on the g file, just natural move. And here I went with rook f6, which I think is fine. I think I'm still doing fine, but I think I probably should have been a little bit braver and maybe gone with rook takes on f3, because although this could be a little bit scary with the rook bearing down on the g-file and the queen dangerously close to my king, but I think after something like maybe bishop g2, rook f6, I'm still finding white really doesn't have that much there for giving up that pawn. But instead, I went with rook f6. He plays queen g5, putting more pressure on that rook. I decide here maybe I should have played rook to f8. That's the a rook I'm talking about, but I decided just to put the issue to force that knight back. a6, knight comes back to c3, and here again, see, this game was really complicated. There were lots of different moves I could have made. I could have taken pieces with I could have taken pieces one way and I could have taken them another way, and it may have given me a slight edge if I did things a little bit differently. But looking back and reflecting on the game, I think that it didn't go horribly wrong for me until towards the end. I made a bit of a bad cock up. I thought I played reasonably well up until this point. So we'll keep going though with knight c3. Again, I probably should have been a little bit braver. I think I could have taken with this pawn. but instead, or maybe, no, I can't take with a rook because then queen takes queen and rook's going to take that bishop, so that would be no good. So instead, I did play queen takes on d6, where we have queen takes on f6, and I went and played rook to f8. So at this point in time, after he played knight takes e4, I should have gone with rook takes f6. I made a bit of a mistake here. I should have gone with rook takes f6, where knight would take, I'd take on f3, and then after I take on f3, he'd probably have to play something like knight takes, rook takes, and I think this is reasonably equal. I don't think anyone's doing fantastically well or badly here. It would have been very interesting to play this, but I didn't quite see that, and Houston pointed this out to me after the game. He thought that, said he couldn't quite see everything afterwards, but he thought that rook takes on f6, queen trade would have been better than what I did. What I ended up doing instead was I went queen f4 check, wanting to trade off those queens anyway. Queen takes, rook takes, knight takes c5, threatening the b pawn. Took the pawn, knight takes on b7. And here, well, I considered taking the bishop on c1. Oh no, not c1, sorry, on f1. But instead I played bishop a2, and this kind of came back to hurt me a little bit when I played bishop takes a2, because bishop takes a2, and I saw most of this. I saw bishop takes, rook takes, rook coming back to g3, and I get to take the f-pawn. But what I didn't see, I don't know why I didn't spot this, but was this really nice b3 move, which just hams in this bishop. This bishop is next to useless. Real pain in the ass move here. At this point, I played knight d4, trying to get my other pieces into play here, just gobble up that pawn, but he simply plays bishop c4 check. King runs to g7. I play rook d3. No, sorry, he plays rook d3. Oh god, I'm all over the place. Sorry about this, guys. I was kind of dreading trying to analyze this game though, because I know, because I knew that it was going to be a little bit painful, because look how many different things cropped up in this game. It was just very, very hectic. So I'm sorry about this, guys. Next game I'll do a much better job, I promise. But I thought I would get it out there and show you guys, because this is one of the games that over the last 4 or 5 weeks that I really wanted to show, because it was very, very interesting, all the things that came up. There were some common King's Indian ideas that you want to play, like the f5 break that I thought I would mention. Once again, I probably could have played better moves, but up till now I think this is still fine, besides that stupid bishop on a2. But we'll continue with knight f3, which was played, and this was where I really made the massive mistake. Knight f3 is very bad. Knight f3, knight d6. Oh no, sorry, my mistake. Knight f3 is still okay. After knight f3, he plays knight d6. I check him. King goes to b2, and I should have just checked him again and thought a little bit longer, but instead I thought, great, let's get this bishop out straight away. This was a terrible choice. Bishop b1, and then he could have played either rook e3, or I thought his move was a little bit cooler. He actually played knight to f5, which is just really bad, because if pawn takes, he's got a discovered check. Pawn takes knight, he checks me on d7 with his rook, and then he's got a discovered attack on my rook, and I think he's going to win that game pretty easily. So unfortunately, this is where things kind of went to hell for me. I play king f6, he checks, king e5, trying to just get my king into... I don't know what was going on in my head here. I think if I recall correctly, I had about 8 or 9 minutes left on the clock. So I was getting squeezed a little bit. I think I was just hoping to grab the H pawn, march my pawns up the board. He goes rook d5 check, king f4. Now note, if I do king f6, he would have taken my rook, I'd take his knight, and he can just march his pawn up the board, eventually get his king there as well, and I think he's going to win this game pretty handedly. So instead I played king f4, bishop takes on f1, bishop takes on f5, b4, I decide to harass his rook. But at this point in time, it's really just nice, simple endgame technique that Houston shows here. Not rook d7, g5, bishop g2, bishop f5, and gets his rook to the back rank. I play king g3, rook, bishop takes, king takes, rook f8, and I think I resigned here because it's just I can't really stop that pawn that easily, and he's going to be able to get his king back across. It's going to be difficult to hold on here. There was one other variation I will show you very quickly, because this is something that I missed when I was analyzing it with Houston. He didn't quite see it as well. This would have been interesting if it was around... Okay, actually, sorry, it was if I played king f6 instead, and he goes bishop takes, b4, bishop e4. Now, if he went with rook d7, rook d7, then I possibly had g5, it was bishop g2, and it was here. If he played bishop g2, I had knight e5, which would have actually let me back in the game somewhat. I mean, it would have been maybe... Sorry. Knight e5, rook check, king goes to e7, and he's got to take the bishop. I take the rook, and bishop takes pawn. He's got a pawn up, but for me, I think this is really equal, because I can do my best to stop that pawn on b4, and I just keep my pawn on the dark square. The bishop can't take it. So this would have been really interesting. It didn't get down to this track, but I saw it later on, or something similar along those lines. As I said, this game got horribly messy. I didn't end up playing the endgame so well. I was really annoyed that I did miss that really nice little b3 move, hemming in that bishop. I could have gotten it out, but I shouldn't have been so keen. It was around here that I played bishop b, after he played king b2. I shouldn't have played bishop b1. I should have gone instead with rook check, then maybe king c3, knight e5, rook e3, just take that bishop, and then hopefully at some point this bishop's going to have a bit more space. He can come out maybe via b1 then. Unfortunately, this didn't happen. I made a few poor choices. All in all, though, I was happy with how the game went, considering last game I think he just absolutely rolled me in 25 moves or less. So I thought I did much better here, made him think a little bit, made him work for the win. Sadly, though, no win for me this time. Next game, I'll probably showcase one of my more recent wins. But I thought I'd show you this game because, firstly, it's against a friend of mine, someone who I've had a lot of games against in the past, and for sure there'll be more games against him in the future. So I thought I'd show you that one today. Stay tuned for the next video. It will come out sooner than the last one. I know it's been a long time between videos, but it's been a little bit tricky for me. I've had a lot of stuff going on in the past few weeks. But please stay tuned. Subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, pay attention. Check out my blog on chess.com. Feel free to comment. And, well, this is 10 Curtain J, and I'll see everyone next time.